Sorry for the delay, man. I've been kind of all over the place today. Been all over the place today. I set this up earlier, but I forgot to even, click the button to say, "Hey, create live stream." But anyway, and be kind of in and out, man. Not gonna be too long of a show. May do a show tomorrow. May do a show tomorrow. Depends on how I'm feeling. Depends on how I'm feeling. Want to kind of get this in and out. Kind of recap some of the play-in games that happened. Over the last couple of days and kind of get my thoughts and opinions as we get ready for the official real start of the playoffs beginning this Saturday. We're going to start talking about Los Angeles Lakers defeating the Pelicans, moving into the seventh spot. It means a first round matchup against the defending champion Denver Nuggets. And as we get into the playoffs, y'all know my Laker bias kind of creeps out, but I think after surveying the landscape, see who's the number one seed. The number one seed in the Western Conference is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I might have, I'm not saying throw a game. I'm not saying throw a game. You play to win. I mean, it is what it is, but I think it'll be a better it would have been a better matchup for the Lakers to play the Thunder, considering the amount of playoff experience that the Lakers do have and the lack of playoff experience that the Oklahoma City Thunder have on their team. Now, granted, Oklahoma City has been one of the better teams this year, on both sides of the ball. When we're talking about offense, when we're talking about defense, Oklahoma City Thunder has been right up there. And SGA, I've been hearing talk, and I think you can make a strong argument right now for him. How you doing, Miss Murphy? Yeah, Miss Murphy. Listen, I set it up, but I forgot to click create live stream. So when I get ready to go into the studio, I'm like, oh damn, I didn't need to set it up. I ain't even finished the process. Yeah, I've been, kind of a loopy day, But thank you for being here. Shout out to the 1-2 in the chat. But back to my analysis. SGA, in my opinion, considering how strong the Oklahoma City Thunder finish out the season, because they lock up the number one seed in the Western Conference, I think you have to really seriously consider. For the most part, when Embiid went down, my opinion was, Yoke was front runner for MVP. You could throw Luka into that conversation, but if I had to cast my vote, based on the season that the individual player had and the season that the team had, the fact that Oklahoma City Thunder, I don't think anybody had them winning the Western Conference coming into this year. I thought Oklahoma City Thunder was going to be a very, very good team on the rise, but I didn't think they was going to get up number one. And I think SGA, if I had to give a vote, I think SGA is my MVP. I think he's my MVP, considering the way he's played and scored and led this team all year. SGA gets my vote for MVP, but back to the playing stuff, like Lakers, over the Pelicans. We're not sure if Zion will be ready to go at full strength. He ends up getting hurt. He was a handful in that game. He was a handful in that game. Ended up with 40 plus, and showed it's levels to it. You're seeing Zion, and then I hate that he got injured. I wish him a speedy recovery, but I hate that he got injured. But Zion this year, was able to stay healthy a majority of the season. He started to get in shape around the turn of the year, and that's what what you saw against the Lakers is what a lot of people envision him doing on a night-to-night basis in the NBA with his skill set that he has and the athletic ability that he has. But hey, you went down. You have an opportunity to play. You playing the Sacramento Kings for the final spot into the tournament. And let's talk about the Kings Warriors game. I did watch. Ended up getting a chance to watch the second half of that game. Is it safe to say? That it is over? The dynasty is officially over for the Golden State Warriors, based on the season that they had, and I think we need to have a real long, hard talk about it. With Clay's performance, 0 points, 0 for 10. I mean, he's still a viable player in this league, but he's not. I think he's an unrestricted free agent. He has an opportunity to go out there and get a bag. I think he'd be a nice fit on other teams. I think he can be a missing piece on maybe like Orlando. Teams like that just a shooter or two away from really serious competing. And for deep runs into the playoffs, but man, it was a bit. I'm not a Warriors fan. It was a bit sad watching it. It was a bit sad watching you're watching the end of a dynasty, and the way that they went out this year, the way that this year has kind of gone for them. If you're ownership, you got to start asking some real serious questions. Is your loyalty, and I think this is probably the biggest question I would have as a Warriors GM or a fan, is your loyalty to pleasing Steph Curry hindering you from fielding a team that can really, really be competitive in the change in NBA? That is a question that's the biggest question I had coming out of that game. For me, I think he should have moved off Draymond last year when he was a free agent. I don't think he should have paid Draymond. I think he could have moved Klay when it was clear to everybody that watches the Warriors play that Klay is not the same player, has not been the same player since he returned back from injury. You had an opportunity to kind of move him when he had like a little buzz during your last championship run. I mean, but you got to ask yourself if Warriors management has our loyalty to Steph Curry hindered this team going forward. Steph Curry is entering next year to be year 15, 16 for him. I want to say Steph was drafted in 2009. If you're serious about, you had the brand new arena. If you're serious about this team having a long-term success, you got to take a real serious, hard look at your roster. And like I said, I don't think, in my personal opinion, you brought back Draymond because Steph wanted it. You've kind of kept Klay around because Steph wanted it, and they've already, been talking about that in the post-game comments and commentary from players and coaches for the Golden State Warriors. Like, yeah, we want to bring Klay back, but Klay's going to want his money too. Klay's going to want his money. This was the last year of his deal. He, played for $40 million this year. And, are you asking Klay to go from 40 to 10? Is that viable? Is he willing to take that big of a pay cut? Because Klay right now has not been the same player since injury. I would be remiss if I'm a general manager if I'm going to pay him $20 to $25 million a year going forward, considering the age, injury history, and the level of production that I've seen since he's got injured. I mean, that'd be a hard pill to swallow, but Golden State is in a bind because your franchise player, the guy that is put you on the map primarily, the guy that is the reason why you have that brand new Oracle Arena out there in the Bay Area, has your loyalty to Steph. I mean, who's next? Who is next? I mean, there's some pieces that could be moved, and but that's hypothetical. That's down the line. But if I'm Golden State Warriors management, this offseason, taking a very serious, hard look at my roster and in the direction in the future of this franchise, I might have to make Steph a little unhappy. I might have to say, what, for what Klay is potentially asking for, it's been rumored he's trying to get into the $20-25 million range. Man, I can get about two guys that can shoot. I can get two guys, 3-and-D guys to kind of fill that role. It might be a little bit younger, might be a little bit more athletic. It's just, how much is your loyalty to pleasing Steph Curry going to cost you? But I mean, hey, that we'll see how that kind of plays out during the NBA offseason. When we look over to the Eastern Conference, congratulations, Miss Murph, to your Philadelphia 76ers for escaping. I would say that escaping. I would say escaping the Miami Heat. Miami Heat have their own issues coming out of that game, but congratulations to them. They do have first round matchup now set up against New York. They've already been talking, been chirping, talking about this is a much easier matchup, and that's not it's it's trash talk, but it's a lot of truth behind the trash talk. Because when you consider, if you lose that game against the Heat, then you having to play for the last spot in the tournament against the 8 seed. That means 8 seed. You're going against Boston. Um, not that I think that I would pick the 76ers over the Knicks. But it's trash talk, but it's a lot of truth in the trash talk. That 76ers have a easier. Not to say there's going to be an easier, because I got Knicks winning that series. But it's a much easier matchup than going against the Boston Celtics. So they escaped that one. Miami not only loses the opportunity to play against the Knicks, who I think is a better style matchup than this Boston Celtics, but then you have Jimmy Butler, who's been rumored, and it hasn't been made official how long he's going to be out, but it's been said he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And a Miami Heat team with no Jimmy Butler, I would have I think you got a good chance of beating the Chicago Bulls for that last spot with the roster that you have. That's not saying much, but no Jimmy Butler. I don't give the Heat if they get in. If that's a big if. You lose Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, the guy who has carried you to 2 NBA finals since he's been there. You lose him. I like Bam. I like Tyler, and we'll talk about Tyler in just a sec, because it's reports that it's a lot of friction in the Miami camp. But you lose Jimmy Butler. You got to go out here and play the Chicago Bulls, who put up a very impressive performance, against a crappy Hawks team, a team that don't really play defense, but nonetheless they went out there and did what they were supposed to do. You go into this game, you're going to be leaning heavy on Bam. I think you're obviously going to miss Jimmy. You're obviously going to miss Jimmy, but you got to be looking as a Heat fan who is going to step up. If you're depending on Tyler Hero to step up based on his last game performance, and that's all I can base it off of, 9 for 27. And considering what happened after the game, it's been rumored that Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero got into it after the game. Punch was thrown in the direction of Jimmy Butler by Tyler Hero. I don't know how that's going to play out. This off season in Miami. Jimmy Butler is kind of been the representative of the culture, and it's been rumored that Tyler Hero has been a piece they're willing to part with. So I don't think he's a long time franchise piece for the team, but that's neither here nor there. But they got to go out here against the Chicago Bulls and get the 8 spot, which either or, whether it be Chicago or Miami. I see them getting swept in the first round by a very focused and very talented Boston Celtics team. So I'm not going to spend too much time fretting about it and being upset about it. You're lambs to the slaughter. And Miami, I would have given them a chance to take a game or two off of Boston with Jimmy Butler, but with no Jimmy Butler, I don't see that that happening. I like Bam. I like the culture that they have down there in Miami, but Boston is focused. Boston is locked in, and Boston has gotten back to what got them to the NBA Finals a couple seasons ago. It's like being a very good and efficient team on offense and being very good on defense. But we'll see. Like I said, no Jimmy Butler. I have a hard time picking them. I would pick them. Let's do it like this. I'm gonna pick. I got a funny feeling Chicago's going to get in, and that's the only reason I say that, because no Jimmy Butler. How do you replace the leadership? How do you replace the points? How do you replace the presence of a Jimmy Butler on such short notice? I got Chicago getting in. I think Miami season is done. I want to say they play tomorrow. I think their season is done. Yeah, I got Chicago getting in. Chicago, of course, lambs to the slaughter, getting swept. I see them getting swept. Once we get to finalize playoff matchups, we'll kind of discuss it as we got to, y'all know how we do around here, how we did last season, breakdown of the games and all of that kind of stuff. But back, I want to show a little Laker love before I kind of close out the show. It's not gonna be a long show. Had a bit of a weird long day. Started at 0:30 this morning in the other space, but Lakers Nuggets, probably the toughest matchup for Denver, considering the first round. You have a healthy LeBron. I'm not sure what I'm getting from AD. You know, as a Lakers fan, that has always been my biggest concern about Anthony Davis. You know, some nights he'll play like the top 5 talent that I know that he is. And then, you know, other games he'll kind of fade to black and fade into the background. I don't know what AD I'm getting. I don't know if AD is going to be able to make it through the playoffs. Um, you never know. But I think if the Lakers are healthy, I think Denver's going to have a tough time. You know, it'd be not to say that Denver is not the favorite, because clearly Denver is the favorite, the defending champions. They're healthy. They're at home. They have home court in this series. So clearly Denver is the favorite, but I think this will be a very tough matchup for them, considering, you know, you have a healthy Lakers team. And I've said this about the Lakers all season long. This is not a team that is built for the regular season. This is a team that is built for the postseason. So I'm curious to see, you know, tip off is Saturday with the Lakers and the Nuggets. I'm curious to see you know, how this series kind of goes. If it gets dragged out, if this is a series that goes 6, possibly 7 games, I think Denver is in trouble of repeating. I think the series is going to take a lot out of both teams. These are two physical teams that, you know, not necessarily running gun up and down the floor. It's going to be, you know, pure playoff basketball, old school type basketball, with the far as like the pacing of the game is going to go. I think this is a long series. If this is a long series, I think whoever comes out this series is going to be worse for wear. I think if you have hopes of getting to the championship game, getting to the finals, if you're Denver or LA, you're Denver. Of course, you know I'm a Lakers fan, but I'm still also an analyst. You know, I think the Nuggets are the favorites for a reason, but I think if this is a long series, both teams are going to be kind of worn out. And when you look at the rest of the Western Conference, a lot of the other teams, you know, I'm talking about the Minnesota's a very good defensive team, but they can get up and down court like when they want to. Same thing with Oklahoma City. Same thing with the Clippers. Dallas is a scary offense. You know, those are teams, and you got, you know, Phoenix kind of just laying there in the weeds waiting. I think if this is a long series for either one of these teams, I'd be hard pressed to pick them going forward to the NBA Finals, but I may be wrong. Hey, as Gator Girl would tell you, sometimes my picks are right, sometimes my picks are wrong. Discussing some of the other matchups, you have Cavaliers and Magic. I mean, this is off a quick glance. I'm gonna go Cavs just off a playoff experience, but it all depends on what Donovan Mitchell I'm getting, because you know, he's had some injuries coming down the stretch, but you know, when it comes to the playoffs, he'll have big games, and then he'll have, you know, games where he doesn't really show up. This is Orlando's first real foray back into the playoffs after a long drought. I think this team is about a year ahead, but this has been one of those wacky years where you think teams that are you know, ahead of schedule. To some of these young teams, I'm talking about like the Indiana Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder, Minnesota Timberwolves. When you think those young teams are, you know, a year ahead, and you see how competitive they've been, and the level of play that they're playing at, I think that's going to be a good series. But I got Cavs in that one. When we look at the Bucks and Pacers, they got a formula for beating Milwaukee with or without Giannis. With or without Giannis, and this, you know, Giannis, you know, game time decision. We'll see if he's going to be ready to go for this playoff series. But that's a style wise, that's a bad matchup for Milwaukee. Style wise, it's a bad matchup for Milwaukee, and it showed throughout the season, because, you know, Pacers have had their number. I think Tyrese Halliburton is ready to break out on the national stage. I think, you know, a lot of eyes going to be glued on this series. That's going to be a fun matchup. You know, Tyrese versus Dame. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm gonna go Bucks. Just, you know, just off of experience, same kind of argument I had with Cleveland's playoff experience. I'm gonna kind of go with them and ride like that. when you look over in the Western Conference, you got Dallas and the Clippers. That is going to be a fun series, probably the most fun series if I'm going to watch. Laker bias aside, if I'm going to watch any particular series, this first round, Dallas and the Clips is going to be must see TV. I don't know, something about playing Dallas and when Luka gets a chance to go up against PG and Kawhi, his game goes to another level, and he's shown that he can beat this team. He's shown that he can cook these guys, and now you have a Kyrie who I think is locked in and focused in on winning another championship. It's going to be a fun series. That's going to be a real fun series. Another series I'm going to be kind of eyeing, and mainly is Minnesota and Phoenix. I'm going to be watching. Ant-Man, are you ready to take that next leap into superstardom? I'm curious to see how his game either rises or falls. I think this is a make or break moment for Ant Edwards. I think he's rising up on a lot of people's charts. And we've talked about that in previous shows before when we're talking about the face of the NBA. Ant-Man goes out there, goes wild. I'll be having a completely different kind of conversation. Playing games and final playing games. Of course, you got, like I said, Miami, Chicago, and you got New Orleans and Sacramento. Curious to see who gets in. It's going to be a fun playoff series. Make sure y'all tune in, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Stay locked in. We're going to be covering it all. Of course, next week, we're going to be doing, as we get closer to the draft, maybe doing one more final mock draft, maybe doing some wacky stuff with that. We'll see. Thank you for taking the time out to listen to little old me. Let me get my behind up out of here. Let me hit you off with the phrase that pays. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.